guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with the Ship With Me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend, a pretty good weekend of sales. Some really cool pieces, some really fast sales, some really slow sales, some really cool designers, some cool vintage, just lots of good stuff to talk about. It's where I kind of talk about what I have, why I picked it up, what I hoped for it, how long I had it for, how much I ended up selling it for, what kind of profit I get, really just kind of bring you into this part of my process. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia. That is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, it is later in the afternoon than I would like it to be. I gotta get these things packed up and off to the post office, so why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipments. So the first thing we have here is this adorable little dress from Moth. Moth is an Anthropologie, randomly one of my favorite Anthropologie brands to find. This just had such a cool, like, mod feel to it. It feels very like twiggy. Somebody, when I had this on a haul, said that it feels like something that Goldie Hawn would have worn on Laugh-In, and 100%. Exactly that. It's super cute, super different, right? This is not your run-of-the-mill Anthropologie piece. Love the color, just really unique. But Moth pieces do tend to sell really well for me for whatever reason. I don't find them to be like really distinctive in their style, like something like a Guinevere is. Like Guinevere has that very like fairy core kind of feel to it. But Moth stuff just sells quite well. I think I've only had one piece that's like lasted in my closet more than like a month. So anyway, I had this for just about 1 month and I had so much interest on this. This ended up selling on Depop. And I don't know if this was picked up in some kind of edit. I'm assuming it was. But at the time that this sold, I think I had like 6 accepted like offers on this, and the first one that popped through got it. And luckily, the offer that popped through was actually the highest of all the offers that I had available. So I had this listed for just under 1 month. I had it listed for $42 and I got an offer for $35, which of course I did accept. With the $2 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $31.07. So I hope she absolutely loves it. This is super cute. This is like a perfect example of like a style pickup that I will get anytime. Like that could be 10 years old, it could be 15 years old, it could be 2 years old, but because it is so unique and it is kind of like that retro style, I'll pick that kind of stuff up all day. Next up, now this was a brand I hadn't heard of. This is Sophie Dior, D''Hoore. Very, very expensive brand. Their sweatshirts kind of tipping into the $300 range. It's pretty insanely expensive, but this is just like a little cropped gray sweatshirt, really wide cut. And I wasn't quite sure, I mean, like the sell-through rate looked pretty solid on this, but I wasn't sure how fast this would go, and this sold lightning quick. So definitely a label to be on the lookout for. It's one of those things that like the quality is really nice and the tag looks really like interesting and high end. So even if you didn't know the name, like I didn't know the name when I first picked this up, if you've been watching me for any amount of time and you're picking up any kind of like cues on what you're looking for in terms of quality, you're gonna pick this up no matter what. It's gonna stand out as something that's kind of unique and really well made. I'm not somebody who is omniscient on brands. There is probably not a trip that I take to the bins where I don't learn a new brand or a new designer. And this is a perfect example. I've just kind of like honed my ability to spot good quality. So anyway, I had this listed for just 2 days. It was actually under 2 days. This sold just over 24 hours. I had it listed for $64 and it popped through as a full price sale. So like I said, we've got a certified bolo on our hands here. So with the $2 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $49.20. Again, a Poshmark sale. Hope she absolutely loves it because that is really beautifully made. Next up, it's one of my favorite brands to find and I do not find it nearly enough. This is from CP Shades and this is just a white linen flare skirt. There is a maxi version of this that I think is like probably their most like popular thing. And the construction has these little godets, these like kind of godet insets that make it flare out. This is basically the midi version. This being linen, I'm trying to ship this with as few wrinkles as possible. But anyway, CP Shades is definitely a brand you want to keep your eyes out for. This, I want to say, retailed at like $300. So expensive. And they'll resell anywhere between $80 and like $150, $160, $200 for some more substantial pieces. Like it's it's a brand you want to keep your eyes out for. It's kind of an interesting thing where the tag is just kind of, it's like a little woven tag and it's tonal, so you have to kind of keep your eyes out for it. But once you see it once, you'll recognize it pretty quickly. It's distinctive, but it's tonal, right? So it's something that, like, if you are, you know, just really quickly flipping through the racks at a thrift store, you might miss it because it is generally dyed, like garment dyed, with the rest of the piece. So anyway, I had this listed for just around 2 months, and I had it listed for $134, and I got an offer for $110, which I gladly accepted. This is an eBay sale. With a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $94.73. Definitely, again, just one of those brands that is always in style, always gonna fetch a great price. Like, no matter what's going on with trend and fashion or whatever, like, that buyer is always going to be interested in that brand, right? Like, it's just kind of one of those evergreen bolos that are like the dream of all resellers. Next up, I have this beautiful dress. This is from Elie Tahari, and if you're unfamiliar with Elie Tahari, I'm sure you're familiar with Tahari. And Elie Tahari is basically the designer of Tahari. Tahari is just a diffusion line. So if you think about it in terms of where you can buy it, it's like Elie Tahari would be like Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom. This is merino wool, by the way, so picking up every little speck of lint and trying to make this perfect before I send it out. Tahari, like just regular Tahari, would be like your Macy's, your Lord & Taylor, just kind of like mid-range department stores. And then T by Tahari, I believe, is something that's sold at like a Kohl's. But the Elie Tahari label is very, very expensive. This was probably $300-400, if not a little bit more. Again, merino wool, just kind of like bodycon midi dress. And they sell for a decent price. You're probably not gonna see much for like over $100 from Elie Tahari, but you will get, you know, probably north of 35 for most pieces. So it's a brand that I would keep my eyes out for and definitely like consider paying up for. So this one in particular, I had listed for just about 1 month. It was great basic, really, really chic, simple closet staple made of like an elevated yarn. And I had it listed for $54, and I got an offer for $45, which I did accept. With the $2 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $32.33. This was another eBay sale. So I hope she loves it. This kind of chic, elevated closet staple is one of my favorite kind of things to pick up. Next up, this is such a ridiculous thing. So this is from Dollskill, and it was a collaboration that they did with Candyland, and this is a little sweatshirt with a little attached lace trim Peter Pan collar. And Dollskill is known for like alternative style clothing, right? And the thing about alternative style clothing, and I talk about this a lot, it usually comes up more when we're talking about like retro style clothing, but all alternative style clothing kind of falls into the same umbrella. The thing about this is that there is a very dedicated group of buyers. Like, this is a lifestyle for the people who like to dress in these clothes. And there's just a very limited amount of brands that actually make this kind of clothing. And Dollskill is kind of like the Revolve of that world. So they carry a lot of different brands, they have a lot of house brands, etc. And because of the relative scarcity of kind of alternative clothing, their stuff does tend to go for a pretty good price. The thing I love about this, that looks like little jimmies on an ice cream, and that is just multicolored bugle beads. Also, I'm realizing now that I no longer live in the Philadelphia area that most people call these sprinkles, but we call them jimmies. Let me know, are you a jimmies person or a sprinkles person? Is it only the Philly area or is it the Northeast? I'm interested. It's so funny, like I don't have much of an accent, but when I get talking fast, I can hear it slip out a little bit, and there are definitely like words that I use that I didn't know were like regional, jimmies being one of them. But I just thought this was super cute and I had to grab it. This one I grabbed at the regular thrift, and I would do it again. Definitely this falls into that like weird and well-made category. Chances are if you guys saw this, even if you didn't know what Dollskill was, you'd probably pay attention because it's so unusual. And I urge you, if you are not somebody who would have picked that up, to pick up stuff like this because it can prove to be a good choice for you. So I had this listed for just under 1 month and I had it listed at $48. Sold comps on this were between like 35 and 55, and this was a Depop sale. So I had a little bit of like leeway in terms of what I could accept. And I had so much interest in this. I, after about a month, had an offer for $35, which I did accept. And I had multiple offers over on Depop that didn't pop through, but with $5 cost at the thrift store, this brings me to a profit of $27 even. So I hope they love it. It's such a ridiculous thing, but how fun. Like, I'm here for dopamine dressing, and that is like definition of. All right, next up, this was such a cute little find. This is Free People Movement. I want you to see the back of this. It's so interesting. This is like the softest rib jersey you've ever felt in your life. And it's basically in brand new condition. I think this is called the Infinity with T-E-E at the end. And I picked it up because of how nice, like how new it felt. Obviously I knew Free People Movement. Free People Movement sells fairly well for me. The leggings, obviously like all other leggings, not quite as much, but the tops, especially tops like this, they're a little bit looser, for sure, are selling quite well. But this just had kind of everything going for it. It had like that light powder blue color that's so popular right now, the ice blue. It was loose fit, brand new condition, and I mean like so soft. Sold comps on these were between like 25 and 35. And some even a little bit higher for like brand new with tags. So I don't know if this is a style that they've been making for a long time or if it's, you know, just kind of like a one-off that they did, but super cute. And just everything about it told me that this was probably going to be a pretty quick sale, and it ended up being a pretty quick sale. So I had this listed for just 4 days, and it ended up being a Poshmark sale, but I did have 2 or 3 offers on Depop that never popped through. So keep your eyes out for this style because the interest is there for sure. So I had it listed for $34 and I got an offer for $30, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $22 even. So I'm super glad I grabbed this. This was like exactly the kind of Free People Movement stuff that moves so fast. Next up, and in contrast, this is one that took forever to sell. And I'm so surprised because I think it is so cute. This is from Mave, which is of course an anthropology brand. And I've had this for over a year. I have had so much interest in it. It's giving me like Greek Isles, right? Like, I don't know why this took as long to sell as it did, but it did. And you know what? Here's the kind of crazy thing. Because of what this is, I would probably buy this tomorrow if I saw it again. Because I just think it's adorable. I just think it maybe didn't hit the right buyer. Maybe I hadn't done enough like refreshing on the listing in terms of like keywords or whatever, but so cute, but a bit of a flop. Now, would I pay full price for this in a thrift store? Absolutely not. But if I saw it in the bins, I'd still probably get it. This is my fatal flaw. When I really believe how cute something is, I'm still gonna stand behind it. It did have a lot of interest though over that year. Like I had a ton of people asking for like measurements. I had, again, a couple things over on Depop where people sent offers and they never popped through. So there is interest on it. It just didn't meet its buyer. But either way, as I mentioned, I had this for just over a year and I had it listed at $28. I'm pretty sure I had brought the price down. I think I had it listed at $32 initially. And I got an offer for $20, which I did accept. I was ready to move this one on, but with a $1 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $17.47. So I hope she loves it. I personally just think that this shirt is so cute. Next up, this is another one that took a while. This is a vintage Western shirt from a brand called El Paso by Britannia. And it's navy blue, it's got pearl snaps. I'm just kind of surprised because these kind of shirts typically go pretty quick for me, but it might have been a brand thing. I don't know Western brands as well as I know other brands. So if anybody out there does a lot of Western stuff, is this not a good brand? Let me know. I mean, the quality on it feels really nice, but again, this is not really my wheelhouse. And I mean, the funny thing is like here, I don't get my hands on a lot of it because this is one of the things that a lot of the people that do like the Rose Bowl flea and stuff like that, they pick up these Western pieces because they sell really well here for a good price. And I mean, like, I know about like nudie suits and I know about rodeo suits and stuff like that. And if I ever am lucky enough to get my hands on one of those, I will obviously pay whatever it takes. But I don't know the smaller brands. I know Ariat and I know Wrangler and stuff like that. But beyond those two kind of bigger names, it's not my thing. So either way, this is another one that I had listed for a little over a year, and I had it listed for $26. I know I had dropped the price on this one, and I got an offer for $20, which I did accept. I was ready to move this on with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $16 or $15 even. So I hope they love it. I mean, it's just, you know, again, this is me fishing in unfamiliar waters for sure. Next up, these are the kind of things that I will pick up anytime I see them at the bins. So this is from Free People. And one of the things, I always call them like the cuff Henleys, but like the Henley shirts in general from Free People, these kind of slimmer fit, longer line Henley shirts. Usually the more desirable ones have these kind of like chunky cuffs, but any kind of sleeve detail is good. But overall, the Henleys sell quite well for me. They sell quite fast for me, I should say. Couple years ago, those cuff Henleys, I mean, there were certain ones that would sell for like $100. They just had such crazy demand. Now it's nowhere near as intense as it was back then, but they still sell really fast. And if you're able to get them at the right price, they're still solid pickups. This one sold in under a month, and it had a lot of interest in it in that time. So as I mentioned, I had this listed for just under 1 month, and I had it listed for $28. Now this wasn't one of the ones that would have been like $100 a couple years back, but it's still that Henley style with the kind of like acid washed textile look that people still very much like. But I had it listed for $28, and I got an offer for $20, and that's about what you'll see on stuff like this today. There are certain ones that'll go for a little bit more, but like you can pretty safely bet on about $20 for something like this though. So just use that for your calculations, and anything else is, you know, gravy. But with a $2 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $15.44. It's another eBay sale. She loves it. This is a new one. I've actually never seen that sleeve before. It had this really interesting like lace detail all the way down. Next up, now, every time I pick one of these things up, I'm like, oh, this will sell in the fall, and it sells in a day. Case in point. I love these funky little like vintage embellished vests. My little tip for these is to make sure you are using the term teacher vest, because I think a lot of the buyers for stuff like this are teachers. They like to wear like little themed outfits for the kids. And it seems to do really well for me in terms of like using that as a keyword. But these kind of things fly out of my closet. The last one like this that I found was like a definitively Halloween style vest, and same deal. I think I found it like right after Halloween. I think I found it like in December or something like that. And I remember saying like, oh, you know, I can't leave these things behind, but it probably won't sell until next fall, and it sold in 2 days, and the exact same thing happened. I showed this on the haul. I was like, yeah, this probably won't sell until fall, and it sold so quick. Now these again are the kind of things that you're not going to get a ton of money for, but they will be fast sellers. So for me, that's like two of my big criteria. Is like, if it's going to be a super fast seller in and out of my hands really quick, I don't mind if it's going to be a $15 sale, right? Because that's a quick profit. If it's going to be something that's going to sit around for a year, I want it to have a little bit more meat on the bone. As I sit here and contradict myself, because I would totally buy that Mave shirt again, I just think it's too cute. Just goes to show we are just decision machines, and we have to make our best decision based on all the factors that we have presented to us. But these, not a question. I'll pick them up anytime I see them, especially if I see them at the bins. Anyway, had this listed at $28. I had it listed for just 2 days. Got an offer for $22, which I did accept with a $2 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $15.60. And this one went on Poshmark, which is kind of interesting. The last couple of sweaters and vests that I found like this have gone on eBay. Next up, now this is an interesting one. This is a brand I want y'all to keep your eyes out for. This is I Am Gia. And I Am Gia makes kind of interesting stuff, kind of like rave wear. These are like very hot pink track pants with like flashback panels on them. And this is the label. Probably, again, something that's like weird and well made that you would pick up anyway if you have been following me for any amount of time. But some of these things resell really high. Like, I've had a couple I Am Gia pieces. Like, I had a little bikini top, and it was like a micro bikini top. I mean, the little triangle was about this big, and it sold for me. I want to say 50 bucks just for the top, not for the bottom, just for the top. It's, you know, it's a brand that, again, just there's not many companies that make stuff like this. So it is a brand that is known by the people that are in this community and they love it. And honestly, like their stuff is well made. I will give them that. Like this is like really nice. It's like a nice nylon material. It doesn't feel super cheap. It's lined. The construction is nice. All the finishing is really nice. So like, they're not super expensive to start with. These I want to say were probably like $100 to $150. It's not cheap by any means, but it's not like a $300, $400 pair of pants. But they're not crazy expensive. They might even be less than that. I think that they just do limited runs, and that's really where the pull is. Like once they're done manufacturing something, they're done, and if you want it, you gotta go to the secondhand market. Either way, it's a brand I will pick up anytime I see it. So I had these listed for about 6 months. Not super surprised as we are just now in festival season. And I had these listed at $58 and they popped through as a full price sale. And with a $1 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $44.23. So there you go. Most of the IMG pieces that I have sold for like a full price sale or like an offer that was really, really close to what I was asking. So it's a great brand. Interested to hear, like, let me know if you have ever found IMG pieces. Is it something that you find sells really well for you? I don't see it all that often. I've only gotten, I don't know, 4 or 5 pieces over time. And I would love to find more, but I'm interested to hear if any of you guys have like a little honey hole where you're finding a lot of that stuff. Next up, another thing I knew was gonna be a quick sale. This is a little chenille bed jacket and so cute. I love these vintage chenille robes. I've talked about my dream. One of my like holy grails that I would love to find for myself is the Canyon Company chenille robe from the 90s that Fran Drescher wore in The Nanny. It's like baby blue and it's got a moon on the back with a bunch of stars. It's the cutest thing in the whole world. I like grew up, my first robe, my like gateway drug to robes was this like teal blue chenille robe that my mom gave me. And I don't think it was a kid's robe, but she gave me this robe and I literally wore it until it fell apart. And that's what I do to my robes. I wear them until they fall apart. But yeah, that Canyon Co robe is one of my holy grails. And I talked about this on the video where I hauled this. And one of you guys came in and was like, I never heard of Canyon Co. And I looked at this robe that I just bought at the thrift last week for $1. And it was the robe you were talking about, just a slightly different color. Oh, willing it into being. I'm manifesting this into my life. Anyway, this is a short little robe. And this is just like a little tip if you ever find something like this. This is called a bed jacket officially, but I would put like mini robe, bed jacket, house coat. I would also put for something like this specifically like granny cardigan because 100% I can see girls wearing this like out and about. Like this, I can almost guarantee that this is not going to be worn as a robe. This will probably be worn as a piece of clothing. It's just like a little single button cardigan. And I knew that this would go quick. And I will pick up vintage chenille anytime I see it. And I urge you all to do the same, especially if you find one of the old ones from like the 60s that are really ornate and floral. Like that's $200-300 cash money and it will sell quick. So I had this listed for just under 2 weeks. I had it listed for $32 and I got an offer for $25, which I did accept. With a $2 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $20.83. I don't think, this isn't like old, this isn't like 1960s, 1970s. I'm gonna guess that this is like a more modern company that's still making chenille. So it's vintage. I just don't know how vintage, but I do know that it's not like 1960s, 1950s vintage. Like that tag was far too new. All right, we're getting there, guys. Next up is this unbelievably fun little dress from Free People. This is Intimately Free People. And this actually was one that my sister-in-law found. And I'll tell you, this is another one that got so much interest on it from Depop. It must have been picked up in an edit. So many offers. When this did end up selling, I think I had like 6 active offers on it. And it ended up popping through. It's just unusual and it's so sparkly. Like I literally had this before I hang everything up. I usually have things like folded on the bed. That room gets like direct sunlight, and when that hit, it made like, it sparkled the whole room up. It was kind of like a delight. I left it on the bed on purpose for a little too long. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It is 100% my prerogative. And if sequins and sparkly things bring me joy, then so be it. But this is something that is just, I mean, like, talk about making an entrance. It is, I think, even more brilliant in person than it looks like on camera, and you guys have like a direct light on it. It's so sparkly. I don't find the sequin stuff from Free People all that often, but I'm always delighted when I do, because I think that when they do very sparkly sequiny stuff, they do it right. This was such a good find. So I had this listed for just under 1 month, and again, had so much interest in it in that span of time. And I had it listed for $34, and again, had so many offers out on it, and got an offer for $28, which I did accept, of course, with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $24.30. This was, of course, a Depop sale. Again, must have been picked up in some kind of edit because it got so much attention on there, specifically on Depop. It was pretty average on everywhere else, but on Depop, it kind of blew up. Next up, this is one that I think my mom found. This is Eileen Fisher. This is just like a little off-white cap sleeve sweater. Another one that I had a ton of interest in. And took longer to sell than I would have anticipated it given the amount of interest. Like, it's one thing when something gets picked up in a Depop edit. It's just a very different buyer pool for something like a Free People sequin dress than it is for an Eileen Fisher cream sweater. But either way, still lovely. Love Eileen Fisher stuff. Will pick it up anytime I see it. It is one of those brands that just, it's so expensive retail. $300–400 for a sweater. It does not resell at the same level. It doesn't resell at like the same at prices that kind of match its retail prices, but if you're able to source inexpensively, I mean, like some of the more significant pieces will absolutely sell for, you know, $60, $70, $100. But for kind of basics like this, I'm still gonna pick them up anytime I see them, especially if I'm finding them at the bins, because it's still a good sale, it's still a good profit for me. And I just love being able to offer stuff like this at like an affordable price, you know? I'm a big fan of people like buying less and buying better, and buying something like an Eileen Fisher is a brand that you can easily do that with. Her stuff is made really well, the textiles are gorgeous, the designs are very classic. A lot of these pieces are like lifetime pieces, right? So anytime I can offer stuff like that when I'm still getting a good profit and they're getting like a crazy steal of a deal compared to the retail price, I'm on board. Don't get me wrong, I love the bolos. I love finding the CP shades and getting $100 for a linen skirt. You know, I love finding the Chanel suits, but that's not anything you can build a like consistent business on, right? Like it just doesn't work that way. That's not how the thrift gods give. Anyway, I had this listed for about 4 months, just under 4 months, I believe. And I had it listed for $42 and I got an offer for $30, which I did accept. Again, this was one that my mom found, so this was probably around $1 at her bins. This brought me a profit of $27.19. Strangely enough, this was a Depop sale, which is always really interesting to me because Eileen Fisher and Depop, it doesn't seem like the brand that's going to sell there given the clientele. But if that is a little bit of an indicator that the buyer pool of Depop is diversifying, that's only good news for all of us. Next up, I think this is another one that my mom found. This is a beautiful cashmere scarf in this like most stunning royal purple. Like, look at this color on camera. It's so pretty. Now, cashmere scarves like this are going to forever be on my pickup list, right? Like they just sell really well. And if you find something, this is brand new. This is actually from a brand called Tribal Designs by Neela, hand-loomed by artisans. It's 100% Himalayan cashmere, which is incredible. I think one of you guys had mentioned that you were familiar with the brand and it's sold at like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I remember you saying it sold at like kind of gallery shops. Not necessarily like an art gallery, not necessarily like a museum shop, but kind of like the shops where you can go and you can buy like local artisans' work, you know, handmade jewelry, stuff like that. And it tracks. It is just a beautiful piece. Again, brand new with tags, and this color, I can't get over it. Talk about a color you cannot find a lot of. I talk about this. One of the things to kind of keep your eyes out for is unusual colors that people seek out. Like I recently sold this like sunshine yellow linen top, and I'm like, listen, people, every time I have something in this color, people are like, I love that color, but it doesn't fit, you know, whatever. It's just, they're not easy colors to find garments in. And this is a perfect example of a color you're just not gonna see a lot of, at least not right now, you know, where the on-trend colors are either neutrals or like pastels. You always think about people like different skin tones. Like I'm very pale and very cool toned. And like for the past 10 years, I've had a real hard time finding anything in colors that are flattering, that don't make me look dead, because they've either been these like dusty, muted pastels or like beiges and most browns that make me look dead. I'm a jewel tone girl, right? This is my flavor. I'm hoping that fashion swings that way sometime soon, because us pale girls could use a break. Anyway, this was a stunner. Just about the softest cashmere I've ever felt in my life. Himalayan cashmere, Mongolian cashmere, there is nothing like it. So anyway, I had this listed for about 5 months. Interesting to be selling something like this on the cusp of summer, but I'll never complain. Again, this is a very giftable thing, so maybe this is going to be a gift or something. Anyway, I had it listed for $74 and I got an offer for $66, which I did accept. And again, one that my mom found, so with a roughly $1 cost, this brought me to a profit of $51.88. And oh, I hope she absolutely loves it. There is just nothing like cashmere on your skin. Nothing like it. Next up, just 2 to go. This is a pair of like paper bag waist pants from Reese, R-E-I-S-S. These are brand new with tags. These were right next to that purple cashmere, so we've got a little fuzz stitch. Forgive me while I lint roll. So these are from Reese. This is the label you're looking for. Pretty high-end brand. These probably were like $150 new. So expensive. I think they're sold at Nordstrom. I think they're also sold at like Saks Fifth Avenue. I know they're sold at Nordstrom. I saw them there. I saw the brand there just recently when I was there. But definitely a brand to keep your eyes out for. These are something that I've had for a little bit. I think I found these in like November. And I'm gonna pick up that label anytime I find it, especially new with tags. But kind of not surprising that they're selling now instead of back in November. So I had these listed for about, again, 6 months. And I had them listed for $42 and I got an offer for $30, which I did accept with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $23 even. So I hope she loves it. Again, perfect, just like classic white pair of shorts. Crisp and tailored, right? Like that's the vibe that I've gotten from most of the stuff that I've seen from Reese. And finally, this was one that I was so excited to find. This was one of my bucket list designers. This is Junya Watanabe with To Garson, an extremely high-end luxury design house out of Japan. And this shirt I found, this is from their To Garson man line that they did. And it's like a silk cotton blend. So the sweater on the front is silk and the t-shirt on the back is cotton, and it's like the nicest t-shirt you've ever felt in your entire life. And it's interesting, like To Garson, it's at the level of like a Gucci, just to like kind of put, if you're not familiar with it, it's at the level of like a Gucci. And you know, if you were into fashion, you knew who To Garson was. But if you weren't into fashion, like, but you know, most people know who Gucci and Chanel are, but like if you weren't into fashion, you probably wouldn't have known this line. But very recently, they have released the play line under To Garson, which is kind of like a diffusion line, similar to what like Fear of God did with Essentials. And it's really brought the name To Garson into like mainstream fashion. It's no longer a designer that you really only know if you're like into fashion. You are probably familiar, even if you don't know what the play line is, I guarantee you, you've seen it. They have these like Chuck Taylors that have the little heart with the eyes. The heart with the eyes is like one of their motifs. They're everywhere. And it's just, you know, it's an interesting study in business to see how certain brands leverage like a diffusion brand, kind of an entryway into their world. To Garson has done that really, really effectively with play. What a delight to find a piece like this, especially in the bins. Like, I love Japanese design. To Garson is one of those brands that was just on my bucket list. I'm still waiting for my Issey Miyake. I'm still waiting for my Yohji Yamamoto. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. So anyway, I had this listed for $214 and I had it listed for about 3 months, had a ton of interest in it. But like, just to give you an idea of like what pieces by To Garson and Junya Watanabe are gonna go for. I had this listed for $214 and this was a pretty insignificant piece, right? Like this was a t-shirt, it was an elevated t-shirt for sure, but a t-shirt nonetheless. I had it listed for $214, popped through as a full price sale with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $165.84, and this was an eBay sale. So excited to get this back out into the world, get it some more wear. Ooh, it's going international. I just kind of wonder where it's going. Maybe it's going back home to Japan. Either way, it is always just such a delight for something like that to pass through my hands. It's obviously a men's piece. I'm not gonna be wearing it, but for a little bit of time, I got to call that mine. Anyway, that is our shipment for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I literally get my work done. It is always so fun to have somebody to yak with and kind of nerd out about these things. I always appreciate you taking a little bit of your like precious time to spend with me. I know we are all so busy and it just means the world to me. But if you guys had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.